Oh, Vanessa, the work that you have displayed in Nancy's home is just beautiful.
Thank
Surreal
you.
and a beautiful feeling. And it seems like the West, right? Like Mexico.
It is. It's deeply informed by the West, and then it also exists kind of in the realm of dreams and the imagination.
Now, you teach rock climbing, is that what I heard?
Yes, I had a past life for about 20 years as a rock climbing guide and instructor, and would leave every winter. The winters in Vermont can be quite long.
Yes.
For about, 3 to 4 months, and guide and continue to do my work. And then it slowly evolved into going west to do artist residencies. So this past winter, for example, I spent a month on the Navajo Nation, which is the largest Indian reservation in America. It's approximately the size of West Virginia. And I did a residency there during the government shutdown, which was quite an interesting time to be there. But my work is deeply informed by just the landscapes of the West, where the sky meets the rock, those horizons that just have informed artists for generations upon generations.
Right, and I saw the Georgia O'Keeffe on the way in.
Yes. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Love her work.
Right? Yeah. Similarly, that feeling. So, yeah, let's talk about your work. Well, first, let's talk about the space. The space is very special to you because it's where art's been being made for a long time.
That is correct. So I'm fortunate to be in a studio that used to be my grandmother's. And she was a professional artist for over 5 decades. And she would spend her summers here. So this was really a studio for just, the months of the summer. I would go into her studio. When she wasn't here in the summer, she was outside Boston in Cambridge. Mm-hmm. And I would walk into her studio. And I remember I was like walking into a church, and that I wasn't supposed to touch anything or like yell or run around. It was just like, this was grandma's space and she was going to work, and to be like very respectful of that process. Mm-hmm. And I've in turn kind of taken it as a year-round studio. It's not fully insulated yet, but I have a little wood stove in that corner. And once I get it pumping, it can really warm up in here. But I feel fortunate because she worked in a variety of media, watercolor, acrylic, and then kind of finished in the last 20 years of her life in collage. And so I'm kind of following in her footsteps with this medium, but I'm doing it in a really different way. But she had such a beautiful kind of exempling of what it is to be a professional artist, and that dedication and respect for the process. And she has a saying that's in the top of the windows right there, that nothing in art is easy. And so I try to remember that.
It's in your blood then, obviously.
Yes.
But you're taking it in a new direction. So I love that combination of having things informed by the past, but also very in your own present and in your own future. And so a lot of this is coming from your imagination too, not just the landscapes. I mean,
yes.
Where do you even get the imagery that you used? All over?
So I've been collecting images now for about 13 years. And in that corner, I have a towering collection of magazines. People know now that there's a collage artist up on the hill. And so I'm fortunate that a lot of people give me, their whole collection. I just got the entire catalog of Vermont Magazine dating back to the late 50s.
Oh, my goodness.
And so I source materials from all over, vintage and contemporary magazines, books, periodicals. I'm always looking. And since I travel a lot, I have many opportunities to find images. Once I find them, I catalog them by theme, subject matter, color.
Really?
So I'm super organized because otherwise there's no way to organize thousands of images, right?
So people or mood or color.
So I have masculinity, femininity, the theme of migration, the color purple, boats and kind of summer things.
But what if something's both? What if it's masculine purple? What do you do? That would make it very hard for me.
Well, eventually I make a new bag just for that. But it's probably the first spark that I got when I saw it. That'll be kind of what I organize it by. So
are these pieces that you have here in process? Are they for sale? Do you sell online?
So All of these that I have are in a state of completion right now. And some date back to 2010 up until the last month. So I sell, in my studio here, and then I'm represented by a gallery in Burlington called Soapbox Arts. And I sell at the Miller Slum Gallery right down the street. And then I also exhibit nationally. And so it's kind of just a little bit here and there all over. When we live in the country, we have to get creative. I go up to Montreal, go down to New York, LA, Santa Fe. And luckily, because we live in a digital age, I'm also on Artsy, which is a wonderful website for artists and galleries to have their work reach a broader audience.
Well, it's just so impactful when you walk in here. I'd love you to tell me, they're obviously stories, right? I mean, they evolved to be a story or no? I mean, am I imbuing the story into it? Like I'm looking at that piece right there with that sky, that night sky there and that rocky edge. Talk to me about that piece.
Yeah, so that is called The Vanishing Breed, and I did that piece when I was on a month-long artist residency in Wyoming 2 years ago. And that is really a love letter to masculinity and also the myths of the West. A lot of my work is informed by the complex history of how this nation was founded. And I was initially brought into kind of trying to re-educate myself on kind of the origins of this country through these beautiful, John Wayne movies, kind of like all the film, art, photography, country songs that kind of mythologize the West. And being from the East, I'm a Vermonter and I'm from Quebec also. I have dual citizenship. The West was just like very foreign to me. I traveled a lot around the world before I spent time traveling in this country. And the past 10 years have really been an exploration of this country. And I am deeply informed by beauty. I'm very inspired by it. And the landscape of the West, it just gets me every time. I recently saw the Grand Canyon for the first time, been kind of holding out. I've been to all these other sites. And an old friend of mine and I, we took a trip out there this winter and got to see the sunrise, and it just...
Could you even wrap your head around the Grand Canyon? No. I had a very hard time wrapping my head around it. Really seeing it, I felt like I almost couldn't see it.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. And to see all the people from all over the world who are experiencing that same feeling. And the national parks in this country, it's something very unique to this country and something to be lauded and celebrated. And a wonderful thing about the park system is that they create artist residency opportunities. So that's something I've done where they invite an artist in for a week to 2 months to do art that is about that place. And it's an incredible way to experience the beauty that is evident in each of those places.
Now, so how long does a piece like that, you said that was at a 30-day residency, but how long does a piece take generally, or is it just there's no...
So this piece, I started it during the 30-day residency, and then it took about 60 more days. So it's about 3 months of work. On average, the larger pieces take anywhere from 1 to 3 months. And that's just in the making. That's not in the collecting of the images. It's a labor of love. You don't do this to make a quick buck. Yes. You do it for the passion of it. In the past year, though, I've started exploring making smaller pieces that can be more, created in a day. And that has been a really kind of fun way to offset the labor that goes into the larger pieces.
Yeah, I've never really seen a collage so big. I mean, mostly what I see, a lot of little small ones.
Exactly.
And then something more like this size, like a 12 by 12 at the most.
Yeah.
And so this is just so powerful because of its size, but also because of obviously the imagery you chose and where you put it. And as you're like layering and building that, I mean, the whole masculinity thing is just unfolding. Am I right? It's just...
That's what I hope for. Yeah. I was also introduced to collage, doing it myself, just like small format. And I think a lot of people get into that in that way.
Kind of therapeutic, I would imagine.
Exactly it is. And I just felt a desire kind of quickly to push the limits of this medium, to try to like extend what it can do. And so I'm currently working on a piece at a friend's studio in Kentucky that is bigger than this. It's 7 by 9 feet. Wow. And I want to go even bigger. I just want to keep pushing myself to really find the edges of what is possible with this medium, because you really can do anything.
Well, you know, with Nancy and Tim and how open they are, you could probably collage a whole side of their home or a whole wall.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Wouldn't that be fun? Yeah. You'd have to live with them, but it's not a bad place
for like
to
6 to 12 months to complete it. Yes.
We're thinking about though. That almost looks like a mandala.
Yes.
In the way that you like a prayer wheel of some sort. And
yes.
Is that influenced too by your time out in West, or?
It is. So I did a piece that was in celebration of the coming of age ceremony for Navajo girls. That's called Kinelda. And that piece was donated to their permanent collection. And when I came back here, I wanted to do a piece for myself that was kind of the East, thinking about what coming of age ceremonies that I had in my culture, but mostly didn't have. It's just like you kind of just grow up and that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
And so this is really meant to be a celebration of femininity. It's called Ode to Femininity. So, you know, women at all stages of their life, from infancy to kind of end of life, reflecting and looking upon, you know, the years that one had.
So it's a lot more, obviously, than just cutting out something and putting it on a canvas.
Exactly.
I mean, there's so much that's really influencing your work, and it's really very powerful, beautiful.
Thank
if
you.
people wanted to find your work now, what's the best way for them to see it besides driving to Vermont? Unless that's
you can either come to the middle of nowhere in the Northeast Kingdom, and I will be here. But luckily, we have the internet, so I can be found at crinshawstudios.com.
Okay,
it's KRINSHAW Studios. I'm also on Instagram. That's probably the best way, because that's just kind of like daily. This is what I'm thinking about. This is what I'm doing in the studio. And that's at Crenshaw Studios.
Yeah. And a great community that you've been able to find now with art. I mean, the internet has made it amazingly wonderful for artists to connect, to be influenced to. It's fabulous.
Yes.
Well, thank you for sharing your studio. It's
so
been
much.
A pleasure.
I appreciate you coming out here.
Yeah, and good luck with your store, girl.
Thank you.
Power.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.